Subscribe to Man Told for more stories. Now let's begin this one. The moment I blew out the candles, my wife placed a white envelope in my hand. Inside, divorce papers. The room kept clapping. Voices cheering. Happy birthday, Jacob. Glasses clinking. Laughter everywhere. But to me, it all turned into one empty hum. I sat there, in the middle of joy. And right then, my life cracked open. Emma didn't say much. She just looked at me with those cold eyes and whispered, "It's time." I stared at the envelope. Next to it, the birthday cake still smoked from the candles. My little boy, just 5, clapped his hands, holding his teddy bear tight, not knowing his parents had just broken apart. The cruel irony. On the day you expect to feel most loved, I was abandoned in the harshest way. The paper was thin, yet it weighed on my chest, like a building. I had a gift for Emma that night. Our wedding ring, polished, ready to renew our vows after 7 years together. That ring stayed in my coat pocket, cold, useless. Just like her hand that night, everyone kept looking at me. They thought I was making a wish. None of them knew I had just been handed the death sentence of my marriage. I forced a crooked smile, pretending to join the fun, while inside, a hollow silence opened wide. I thought of the past months, her turning away when I reached for her, the hidden texts, the late nights, with a perfume that wasn't mine. I told myself it was just stress, that I was overthinking. But now, every piece fit, and it was merciless. A friend patted my shoulder. "So, what did you wish for, Jacob?" I said nothing, just gripped the envelope tighter, trying not to fall apart. And I thought, maybe this is her last birthday gift for me. A cruel gift, but the only one. That woke me up, because in that moment, I realized a harsh truth. You never know which hug will be the last, until it's gone. And when you finally realize, it's already too late. I'm Jacob Blake. If you had met me a few years ago, you might have thought I was a lucky man, a steady career, a beautiful wife, a little boy, a modest house. That felt warm enough. But nothing in my life ever came easy. And maybe because of that, I held on to the belief that my marriage could last, if only I worked hard enough. I grew up in a working-class family. My father was a mechanic, his hands always covered in grease. My mother was a school janitor. We weren't starving, but we were always missing something. I remember winters wearing my cousin's old coat, the sleeves too short, the shoulders worn thin. Every morning, my mother slipped a piece of bread with butter into my pocket. "Study hard," she'd say. "It's the only way out." Her words stayed with me. I wasn't smarter than anyone else, but I was stubborn. I studied late into the night, muttering math formulas while helping my father tighten bolts in the garage. When I got a full scholarship for finance, my mother cried. My father just patted my shoulder, his hand heavy with the smell of engine oil. They believed their son would live a different life. In college, I met Emma. She came from wealth. Her father ran a real estate empire. The first time I saw her, I thought, she doesn't belong in my world. But Emma was different. She liked simplicity. She liked hearing about my father's garage. She liked how I took small things seriously. We started dating. I took her to little diners, where the smell of fries drowned out the perfume in the air. One night she laughed. "I like you most because you never try to be someone else." That line became the faith I carried into our marriage. We married when I was 33. It was a grand wedding, but I still remember my father-in-law's eyes. He looked at me like I had won the lottery, not like I was worthy of his daughter. Maybe you've known that feeling, to be looked down on, right in front of the woman you love. It hurts more than any punch. The first years were happy. Every morning I made us coffee. Emma walked into the kitchen with messy hair, holding her cup like treasure. When our son, Ethan, was born, I cried, and I promised him, "I will never leave you." I believed our family would stay strong forever. But things began to change. Emma got busier with her family's business. I kept working hard in finance, but I was never invited to the high-end parties she attended. On the rare occasions I went, I felt like a stranger. They talked stocks, mansions, Italian vacations. I sat there, just smiling. My father-in-law would clap my shoulder in front of everyone. "Jacob, you must be learning a lot from the real world, huh?" I forced a laugh. But inside, I felt myself being carved into pieces. At home, I tried to make up for it. Flowers on her desk. Dinner ready when she came home late. Little notes on the mirror. "I'm proud of you." But those things no longer made her smile. One night, I waited outside her office. It was late. The light's still on. She walked out with a male colleague, laughing in a way she no longer laughed at home. Her eyes lit up. I gripped the wheel tight, told myself, they're just colleagues. But a crack formed inside me. Another night, I set the table. The stew still steaming. I waited. The clock ticked. By the time Emma came home, the food was cold. She took a few bites, then said, "I'm tired. I just want to sleep." I cleaned up in silence, the clinking of silverware echoing in the empty kitchen. If you've ever eaten alone, at a table set for two, you know there's no loneliness like that. On the outside, I was Jacob Blake, financial advisor, a respected father, a man people trusted. But once I stepped through the front door, I was just a shadow. I could bring flowers home, but I couldn't make Emma look at me the way she used to. I told myself, if I could climb out of poverty to where I am now, I could hold this marriage together with persistence. But I forgot one thing. Love only lasts if both people want to keep it. Every night, I watched my son fall asleep, his tiny hand wrapped around mine, and I whispered, "I will never leave you." But deep down, I knew his mother might leave me first. That was the crack I tried not to face. And on my 40th birthday, that crack shattered, in front of everyone. The night after my 40th birthday, when the laughter had faded from the house, I sat alone at the dinner table. The divorce envelope still lay there, unsigned, like a warning hanging in the air. But the truth is, it didn't start that night. It started months before, with small details, each one cutting deeper, piece by piece. One evening, while washing dishes, I heard a notification from the living room. I wiped my hands, picked up Emma's phone. The screen lit up. There she was, in a red dress, smiling, radiant, surrounded by men at some elegant party. A photo just posted. Her friends had tagged her. Beneath it, her caption read, "A wonderful night with colleagues. Lucky to be around people who truly understand me." Meanwhile, I stood in the kitchen, hands covered in soap, washing plates, cold from a dinner. That was just me and my son. If you've ever scrubbed dishes alone, while seeing your wife dazzling in a world you weren't invited to, you know that silent shame. A quiet humiliation that pierces the heart. I didn't want to give up. One night, I tried. "Emma, how about we take Ethan to the beach this weekend? It's been so long since we went anywhere together." She didn't even look up from her laptop. "You take him. I'm busy." I pressed again. "But it's more fun if we all go. Ethan misses you." She snapped the laptop shut, her voice sharp. "Jacob, don't make me feel guilty. I have work. Don't you understand?" I went quiet. The family trip vanished before it even began. Another night, I cooked stew. The dish, Emma once said, tasted like it came from a restaurant. I set the table, lit candles, played jazz. When Emma came home, she took a few bites, then stood up. "I'm tired. I need to rest." I hadn't even spoken about my day. The plates were still full. I sat alone, watching the candles burn down to nothing. The room sank into darkness. Only the smell of cold food remained. That's when I realized I wasn't eating dinner with my wife anymore. I was eating with a shadow. One evening, pulling into the driveway, I saw a luxury car parked out front. Emma stepped out from the passenger seat. The man behind the wheel leaned over, said something, and she laughed. That laugh, the one that once belonged only to me, was now his. When I opened the door, Emma pretended to be busy in the kitchen. "Who was that?" I asked. "Just a colleague," she said coldly. "You're too suspicious." I nodded, but inside, I felt like I had been shoved aside, right at my own doorstep. The breaking point came when Ethan got a fever. I held him all night, wiping his sweat, checking his temperature. I texted Emma. "He's burning up, 102. Can you come home?" Her reply, "You can handle it. I'm in a meeting." I looked at my son, trembling in my arms, and remembered the promise I made the day he was born. "I will never leave you." But Emma, the woman who once promised to raise him with me, chose a meeting over her own child. If you've ever held your burning child in the dark and heard only the cold buzz of a text message instead of your wife's footsteps, you know what abandonment feels like. One night, I gathered the courage. "Emma, we need to talk. I feel like you're not here anymore. If something's wrong, just tell me." She glanced at me, tired. "Jacob, you're always suspicious. That's what suffocates me. If you don't change, sooner or later, this won't work." I froze. I searched for answers, but got blame instead. The real blow came one Saturday morning. Emma left her phone on the table. It kept buzzing. I wasn't going to look, but the screen lit up. A message. Last night was amazing. Wish you had stayed longer. My hands shook. My heart pounded. The text came with a photo. A half-finished glass of wine, beside a man's arm, with a luxury watch. I knew that bar. Emma had once told me. She was there on business. She walked in, saw me holding her phone, snatched it away. Her face flickered with panic, then turned cold. You have no right to read my messages. Emma, what is this? I asked, choking. She turned away. Think whatever you want. I don't owe you an explanation. That night, I sat outside on the balcony, the cold air biting. In my pocket, the wedding ring I once polished to give her again. I turned it in my hand. The silver glinting faintly under the streetlight. Cold, like her eyes these past months. I asked myself, have I been loving alone all this time? Holding on to a marriage she walked out of long ago? From the bedroom, Ethan's voice. Daddy! I rushed in, held him. He curled against my chest, fast asleep. And in that moment, I swore, no matter what Emma did, I would never leave my son. But the truth was already clear. That envelope on my birthday table was only the final stamp on a marriage long dead. And I, Jacob Blake, had to face the one thing I feared most. I had lost the woman I loved, even as she still sat across from me, inside the very walls of our home. After that morning, after the message and the photo, I could never look at Emma the same way again. But I tried. I told myself, be patient. She'll come back. Our house no longer felt like home. It felt like a stopover. Emma left early, came back late, always with the excuse of work. When she was home, she spoke a few words to Ethan, and almost none to me. One night, I gathered my courage. Emma, I just need to know. Is there someone else? She stared at me, her eyes cold. Jacob, why do you always want answers that only hurt you? What if there is? What if there isn't? Either way, nothing will change. Her words weren't a confession, not a denial either. Just a shove, pushing me into the pit of doubt. Ethan began to notice. One evening, he held my hand. Daddy, Mommy promised to come to my school play, but teacher said she didn't show up. I froze. Then he whispered, Daddy, does Mommy not like me anymore? I swallowed hard, hugged him tight. No, son. Mommy's just busy. But in my heart, I knew the truth. Emma wasn't just leaving me. She was leaving her own child too. One night, Emma asked me to join a company party. She said it would be good for her image. I wore an old suit, the tie she once chose for me. But the whole night, she avoided me. She introduced me briefly to colleagues, then left me standing alone. A man asked, So, what do you do? I stammered. I manage a small equipment store. He nodded politely, smiled, and walked away. From across the room, I saw Emma, laughing brightly with a colleague. The same man from that photo. In that moment, I learned what it meant to be humiliated in silence. I held my glass, my hand shaking so badly I nearly spilled the wine. But I didn't give up. I texted her, I miss you. Let's go out tonight. Her reply? Busy. I wrote her a letter by hand, reminding her of our old memories. I left it on her pillow. The next morning, the letter sat folded on the table, untouched. Another evening, I set the table with candles, flowers, wine. When she came home, she frowned. Jacob, you really think these little tricks will change anything? Her words blew out the last candle inside me. What used to be love was now just a burden to her. Later, I checked her credit card bill. An expensive dinner at a high-end restaurant. The same night, she said she was working late. I asked, Where did you go that night? Without blinking, she said, Dinner with clients. Work stuff. You wouldn't understand. I stayed quiet. But in my head, the pieces began to align. The messages, the missing earrings, the receipts, all pointing to one truth. A truth I couldn't bring myself to face. At home, silence replaced words. Dinner was only the sound of spoons against bowls. On the couch, Emma with her headphones in, eyes glued to her phone. I sat beside her, pretending to watch TV, not knowing what I was even watching. In bed, she turned her back, pulled the blanket over her head. I stared into the dark, my heart pounding like a funeral drum. Silence is crueler than fighting. Because fighting means someone still cares. Silence means it's already gone. One night, I broke. Emma, I need the truth. Do you have someone else? She didn't avoid me, didn't get angry. She just said coldly, Jacob, even if I did, so what? Do you think your questions will keep me? I froze. For the first time, she didn't deny it. And I knew our marriage had crossed a line. There was no way back. I went down to the garage, sat beside the old car, rain tapping on the roof. I remembered when Emma and I once sat in that very car, dreaming of a house, a family. Now we had it all, and somehow we'd lost each other. I picked up my phone, almost called a friend, but I put it down, because I knew no one could really understand. This darkness was mine alone. When I walked back inside, Ethan woke up. He rubbed his eyes, ran to me. Daddy, don't be sad. I'm here. I hugged him tight, tears burning in my eyes. In that moment, I knew I still had one reason to stand, but I also knew our marriage had been stretched to its limit. One more pull, and it would snap. And that pull, the final blow, was already waiting for me, hidden in the dark ahead. That afternoon, scrolling through Facebook, I saw a photo from Emma's company page, a group shot at a client event. Emma stood next to Mark. It wasn't just that they stood close. It was the way they looked at each other. Mark leaned slightly toward her, his smile too personal. And Emma? She tilted her shoulder toward him. Her eyes lit up with a glow I hadn't seen in years. Underneath, someone had commented, "Couple of the year, right here." My chest sank. I told myself, it's just a joke. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. That night, Emma said she had an overnight business trip. Strange thing was, she left her laptop behind. She never left that laptop. I sat staring at it, my hands shaking. Half of me screaming, "Don't open it. You won't survive what you find." The other half whispering, "If you don't, you'll live blind forever." In the end, I opened it. The messages were there. Mark, last night you were radiant. I've never met anyone who drives me this crazy. Emma, you make me feel alive. At home I'm just a shadow. With you, I feel like a woman again. Mark, I hate sharing you with Jacob. You deserve more than that. Emma, give me more time. I'm afraid Ethan won't understand. Each line cut like a knife. No more doubts. No more hope. Every fear I'd buried, confirmed in black and white. I looked down at my hand. The wedding ring dull under the yellow light. Once a symbol of sacred vows. Now, just a chain pulling me deeper into the pit. I thought of the promise we made. For richer or poorer. In sickness and in health. Till death do us part. But Emma had broken it all. Not just me. She had betrayed the family itself. When she came home, I was waiting in the living room. The laptop open. The chat still glowing on the screen. "Emma," I croaked. "Tell me what this is." She glanced at the screen, then looked straight into my eyes. No panic. No excuses. Just a sigh. "Jacob, what do you want to hear? That I'm wrong? That I'll stop? The truth is, I was never happy with you." It felt like a fist to the chest. I choked out. "And Ethan? What about our son? Will you throw him away too? For another man?" Tears filled her eyes, but her voice stayed steady. "I'm his mother. I love him. But as your wife, I can't breathe. You never made me feel wanted. You only saw me as part of your perfect family picture. Mark, he makes me feel alive." Her words crushed me. Not just betrayal, but erasing who I was, in the eyes of the woman who once swore to love me. For the first time in months, I screamed. "I gave everything for you. For him. I built this house. I worked for every meal. I stayed up nights holding our sick child. What more did you want, Emma?" Her reply trembled, but it was firm. "I just wanted to live, Jacob. That's all." I collapsed into a chair, head in my hands. When I looked up, Ethan stood on the stairs, eyes wide. He had heard everything. "Daddy, is Mommy with someone else?" His voice cracked, trembling. I froze. Before I could answer, Emma rushed forward. "Ethan, listen to Mommy. I still love you." But he stepped back, tears spilling. "Then why did you make Daddy cry?" In that moment, I watched my son's childhood tear apart. My pain didn't matter anymore. The worst pain was his innocence being shattered. I walked over, held him tight. "Daddy's here. Daddy will never leave you." Emma stood there sobbing. But between us, a canyon had opened, uncrossable. The final snap had come. The rope of our marriage, broken. And I, Jacob Blake, knew from that moment on, My life had split into something entirely new. After that night, after Ethan saw everything, the house was no longer warm. Only lonely footsteps echoed through the halls. Every room carried a ghost. The living room, still holding the laptop, with betrayal glowing on the screen. The kitchen, nothing but the clink of a spoon in a single bowl. The bedroom, 2 beds, 2 worlds. Each night, I heard Emma open the window in her separate room. The wind rushing through, like a reminder. There was a gap between us no one could ever fill. Ethan grew quiet. He no longer rushed to tell me stories from school. One evening, I walked into his room. He was drawing a house with 3 people inside. But between the father and mother, a heavy line tore the picture in half. I held him close. He didn't cry. He just whispered, "Daddy, if Mommy's not here anymore, do I still have a home?" My throat tightened. All I could say was, "Son, Daddy will always be your home." One night, after Ethan had fallen asleep, I found Emma in the living room. The yellow lamp cast shadows across her tired face. I swallowed my anger and spoke. "We can't go on like this. Tell me what you want." Her eyes were red. She looked up. "You think I wanted this? You think I chose for Ethan to see that? But Jacob, I can't live a lie anymore. I'm not myself when I'm with you." My fist slammed the table. A glass toppled, shattered across the floor. Not yourself? You're my wife, the mother of my child. You swore before God, before everyone. And now you turn it all into a joke? Emma shot up, yelling back, "Don't act like you're perfect. You're always working, always about duty. Did you ever once look at me and see what I needed?" For the first time in months, I shouted back, "I gave everything. I built this house. I fed this family. I stayed up all night when Ethan was sick. And in return, you give me another man in your bed?" The room shook with our rage, both of us gasping for air, tears streaming, but no one stepping back. Then, a sob from the stairs. Ethan stood there, clutching his teddy bear, eyes wide, filled with fear. "Daddy, Mommy, please stop. I'm scared." Emma broke down, rushing toward him, but Ethan stepped away, refused her arms. His eyes shattered. And in that moment, I realized every cruel word we hurled at each other landed on him. That night, I sat in the garage, by the old car, a glass of whiskey in my hand. Rain pounded the roof like war drums in my chest. I thought of it all, the wedding day, the rings, the first cry of our son, and how it all had collapsed. Inside me, 2 choices battled. Clench my teeth, pretend the marriage was still whole, just to keep the picture for my son, or face the truth. Let him grow up with pain, but with honesty. Both choices felt like knives to the heart. I drained the glass, but nothing dulled the pain. The next morning, Emma found me in the kitchen. Her voice shook. "Jacob, I know I ruined everything. I'm not asking for forgiveness. But please, don't take Ethan away from me. Let me still be his mother." I looked at her for a long time. In her eyes, I saw regret and pride. She loved her son, but she no longer loved me. And love can't be forced. I went to a lawyer. Not right away. First came sleepless nights, long walks through empty streets, hours spent watching Ethan sleep. But in the end, I knew holding a fake marriage was crueler than divorce. When the pen touched the paper, my hand trembled. Each stroke cut like a wound, but with it came release. I had chosen to face the truth. That evening, I took Ethan to the park. He ran, laughing on the swings, the first smile I'd seen in weeks. I sat on the bench, watching, my heart aching, yet at peace. In my pocket, the wedding ring, cold, heavy. I gripped it tight, then let it fall. It rolled once, stopped under the streetlight. I whispered, "Ethan, no matter what we lose, you will never lose Daddy." And in the night, I realized, some wounds never heal, but from them, a new journey begins. The journey of a father, holding on to the one piece left unbroken, his love for his son. The first days after signing the divorce papers, I lived in the same house, but it no longer felt like mine. Every object became a witness of loss. The pair of mugs, now just one. The wedding photo taken down, leaving a cold white wall. Many times, I stood frozen in the middle of the room, as if I had wandered into a museum of my own life. At night, the silence was so thick, I could hear every tick of the clock. And I realized, the real pain isn't in the arguments. It's when there's no one left to argue with. If not for Ethan, I might have collapsed completely. He was the only reason I stood. One morning, he handed me a new drawing. No longer 3 people. Just 2, me and him, hand in hand. I drew us. Now it's just you and me, Daddy. My chest tightened. Then he added a detail. A roof over our heads. And on top of it, a heart. He looked up, innocent. This is still our home, right, Daddy? I held him close. And in that moment, I understood. A family isn't defined by numbers. It's defined by the love that remains. Some nights, I sat with the old wooden box. Inside, our wedding ring. Cold. Reflecting the yellow lamp. I gripped it, then let it fall back. This time, I didn't hide the box in a drawer. I placed it on Ethan's bookshelf. Not to remind him of a broken marriage, but to remind him, and myself, that love once existed. Even shattered, it's still part of us. Not to deny, but to carry forward. I once thought betrayal was the wound that never heals. But I've learned, what kills love isn't just one mistake. It's the hundreds of small moments we stop seeing each other, stop listening, stop holding on. Emma betrayed me, but I had my part too. I let love turn into duty. I forgot that sometimes a single hug matters more than every bill paid on time. Now I don't look for blame. I choose to forgive. Not forgive Emma, that may still be far away, but forgive myself, so I can walk forward with my son, without dragging the chains of the past. Emma and I now meet only for Ethan. There's still silence. There's still distance. But no more storms. I know our road together has ended. So I learned to cook, to tie Ethan's shoelaces, to listen to him more. Small things, but each one stitches a torn heart. One evening, we went to the park. Ethan ran ahead, laughing under the streetlights. I sat on a bench, opened the wooden box in my hand. Inside, our wedding ring. Beside it, Ethan's drawing. I stared at the ring, then placed the drawing over it, closed the box, and smiled. Ethan turned, shouting, "Daddy, come on! We've already started over." I stood, walked toward him, and felt lighter. The past would stay, like a scar. But every step I took with Ethan was proof that from ruins, new life could grow. And as night settled in, I heard a quiet whisper inside me. We'll be okay, but we will never forget.